pushing them in so heavily, you've got a Heimer, one of the hardest pushing laners in the world, in the game.
Yeah, we were talking about playing for priority, and as you said, that's exactly what I can do. I was saying the Pantheon had even just missed the Heimerdinger, has been so consistently.
Being incredibly comfortable in this Twisted Fate pass, and it also allows like this is a heavy CC lane that backs up Shadow's champion very well, but also once you get to later stages of the game, he can get his own priority and join in on these ganks. It's a really, really good ban, and it shows that XL have done their homework. I would love to see the Bard here.
Is the Bard something that's specifically picked into Yuumi?
It's specifically picked into Garen Yuumi. This is actually the other thing.
It's locked. Here we go.
This is actually very specifically good into Garen Yuumi. You kite it for days because you actually have what counters this is straight up hard CC, right?
Yeah.
And Vayne's Condemned, you don't really have an issue. You don't really have like a counter for. Whereas the Q will get rid of all slows, but all this guy needs is some terrain, and there you go.
Even that, the hard CC is nice and removing slows, but you have so many slows as well with the meeps, it can be really difficult for Garen to maintain that pressure.
Well, this is a wild draft. There's an Echo lock-in. We can only assume for Knight coming out here. And we'll see how Tolkien looks to finish this up with his draft. I'm assuming he might go for something like safer, like the Renekton, given we don't really have much of a front line right now, apart from the Garen, I suppose.
I would look to something that can accentuate the dive here, but it's just the Gangplank. Wow, okay. So this may, even if XL opt into something like the Cassio here, which is what I'd expect them to lean towards, they'd end up in a pretty difficult situation. The Gangplank itself is going to be able to accentuate what is Mousesport's biggest comfort, which is those lane swap scenarios.
Yeah, and that's what we were also talking about, how this just denying Sendo. We talked about it a lot, how it would probably be the most comfortable carry to take. So I think that is, as you said, the best response. You go for the Gnar, still your carry that could play quite well.
I'm looking at like 4 comfort champions, and I'm pretty sure Kasing feels fairly comfortable on the Bard as well. This is a comfort draft all round.
I'm looking at a lot of comfort on the team on the left as well, though. Like, I don't think this, but if this bot lane ever plays a standard AD carry lane, I think that's when we start saying, wow, they're not really uncomfortable picks these days, are they? But Knight, he's a known Echo player. Shadow, this is his bread and butter, and the Yuumi's going to back him up as much as it backs up Garen later.
Okay, very briefly, Celtic, outline XL for me. What are we expecting?
I think XL got exactly what they wanted. They knew that the Yuumi Garen were going to be locked, and they can push forward. Now, we talked about that priority in the bot lane. They're specifically punishing. The Echo is a decent response.
So what we look at.
The midsection, he cuts off versus the Syndra. Shadow control and give Knight the ability to do so, and then they're going to look to play hard and fast towards bot side. They're going to head off the Heimerdinger bar.
Alright, man.
You can't do that much to a Garen Yuumi. They're not the easiest to dive unless you bring the 4 members. Free up the Syndra from the middle lane and bring them down. But the big thing for me is that what this means for the regions. UK was knocked out. They got up to 4th with Fnatic Rising. They were knocked out by the DAC region in the last EU Masters. So there's a bit of rivalry here. And, you know, if XL can make it through this, and Fnatic Rising have been looking really good after their win against LDLC, we could have a really good shot at it coming home.
Potentially UKLC versus UKLC finals, but this is an uphill battle. Even if XL win here, they have to go against the likes of either Big or LDLC coming up next, which are 2 incredible other strong teams. So I think Mouse are looking terrifying. I don't think that's even a hard statement to make. They are looking like a fantastic team here. The Dark region in general has been so consistently good in the EU Masters. We'll maybe ignore, I think it was the first one where they were a little off.
Yeah,
for the past 3, the Dark region have been incredibly impressive as a region, and the UKLC only in this year have actually been a region that maybe we would take a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, we still suffer because we are second. We're in the pool 2 instead of pool 1, and this isn't just a chance to have a good EU Masters this time around. It could affect that if we have a good enough performance. So XL and Fnatic to both get through the knockouts is huge, but they didn't quite do it in the fashion of the Dark region. Both their teams, both Mouse and Big, went 3-0 in groups, and it shows that they are the teams to beat.
Yeah, they do look like the kind of the benchmark teams, I think is the best way to put it. You look at Mouse, you look at Big, you look at how well their performance has been. They are the benchmark teams, but we are also forgetting that XL have only dropped one game since playing. So they've been playing the entirety of this tournament, and only being able to drop one game is really, really impressive. So we definitely don't want to write them off. There's a lot of power, especially in XL's bot lane. This is world semi-finalist Hyanon on one of his most famous picks on the Heimerdinger. And you've also got Kasing, who's just a veteran player in the EU.
And I think that's what makes sense to me, because everyone's had the games where you support a Bard and you see him 2 times, maybe about 3 minutes, maybe again at like 12 minutes, and that's it. He's gone. He's just never back. He's permanently roaming, picking up chimes, and that is what XL want to do. They have the Heimer, who's permanently going to have priority. He's going to shove in, and it means Kasing is free to impact the map. Now, this differs traditionally from XL's style, because they usually love to play focused on bot. This is a game where I'd like to see them give attention to special. He's on this Syndra. They have the Olaf jungle, who's very strong in early skirmishes. And the Syndra as well, although the matchup into Echo is difficult 1v1, you absolutely can punish them, and I think if they free up special, that's when you can start to threaten Dive's bot lane. Garen Yumi, it takes time to come online, and I feel like although Mouse are just flat out going to win if it gets to late game, I feel like they haven't given themselves enough agency in the early game. They are super reliant on either, well, 2 things, and it makes sense because XL... Taxa often sacrifices himself in the jungle for his team, and they often leave special alone to get priority. So those are the win conditions for Mouse. Punish mid, Shadow takes over the jungle, but if XL have changed, if they're ready for this Mouse roster, I think they have a pretty good chance.
Well, we take to the Rift for the first game of the quarterfinals. It's all to play for. A spot at Katowice on the line. This is a best of 3 between Mouse and XL UK. Doc versus the UK.
Remember, XL are a team who look to put a lot of priority on level 1 invades to split the map. I'm not sure if this is going to be that sort of game, but they do have a Bard. Bard level 1 is probably one of the best in the game. The fact that you can not only stun a target, but stun 2 targets, really difficult to deal with. But so far, it looks like they're not going for a play like that, and a big reason for it is that Hyanon, as a Heimer, you need to get set up in the lane. You need to set those towers up. It's going to give you instant priority.
Now, I mean, looking at XL's playstyle here, we're expecting them to be playing a very powerful early game. They want to look to accelerate that for themselves, because like you said, if this game goes later, Mouse should have this game in the bag. But I'm going to go back to domestically for XL. When they got big load leads, they did throw those away, as Taxa, I believe, just with the squires will spot that out, and he's actually going for the Wolves.
What?
This is very bold by him.
That was so close to being the worst play I've ever seen in my life. But it worked.
He might actually just spot out Shadow here.
Wait, he doesn't know he's there. Get the wolf, get the wolf.
They both got level 2. Mouse is going to send packing, but Dance of Arrows going to chase Taxa down, and that was... I heard the stress in your voice.
That could have gone hard. He just walked through, and Knight was there, and Shadow and Tolkien were there, and I was like, are you insane? It worked. He stole away a camp, but this is something that we talked about on the desk a bit. So, Taxa goes and takes that Wolves camp. It's not worth a massive amount. Blue side camps are generally weaker for experience, and all this means is that on Shadow's side of the map, 2 camps are down. And the reason that's important is, well, 1, Shadow gets a little bit less XP from full clear, but the main thing is that Wolf camp is now respawning. So when you get to about that 4-minute 30 point, the second Wolves will be available. It'll be a level 3 camp. It won't have the restrained XP from being the first camp spawn. And this just gives an opportunity for Shadow to get further ahead in the matchup. So it's a nice idea from Taxa. It was very risky. But really, I feel like it's actually just helped Shadow out. He's perfectly happy for this to happen. It just means that he's going to be able to have a stronger Wolf camp to take sooner on. Because now he'll path towards bot side, he'll pick up his Krogs, he'll likely go towards